So in case you don't already know, Watchmen is a graphic novel by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Released in 1986, Watchmen challenged the traditional conventions of superheroes by posing the question, what would it be like if they truly existed? The result is as far removed as the colorful, good guys win cliched accepted comic stories as possible. Up to that point it was something comic fans hadn't experienced. The blood-stained smiley face, which became the unofficial logo for Watchmen, capsulizes the idea of taking something fun and innocent and casting it with a darker, more realistic shadow over it. With this fresh perspective and the innovative way the story is told, Watchmen has become known as the most acclaimed graphic novel of all time. It's been the only graphic novel to win a Hugo Award and the only graphic novel to appear on Time's 2005 list of the 100 best English language novels. It essentially helped elevate comic books to be recognized as great art. The influence of Watchmen has been far-reaching. Watchmen's deconstruction of superheroes, the techniques in which the story is told, and its use of symbolism has been a major influence in comics and films ever since. There's so much going on within the pages, it's designed to be read and fully understood only after multiple readings. Even Marvel's guru, Stan Lee, has said it's his all-time favorite comic book, outside of the Marvel Universe, of course. The background is important. Casual filmgoers will no doubt be unaware of its history and significance. General audiences may be familiar with Superman and Spider-Man, but a lot of them will never have heard of Watchmen. This was proved to me while sitting in a theater watching the trailer and overhearing remarks like, "Hey, Batman is in this!" and "most acclaimed graphic novel?" Never heard of it. So to them this will seem like just another comic book movie riding the wave with all the other releases. But to others, especially in comic circles, this is an attempt to film one of the most significant stories ever, an adaptation that some believe is unfilmable. Several attempts have been made to adapt it for the big screen by notable filmmakers, and all have failed for varying reasons. The writer of Watchmen, Alan Moore, has completely distanced himself from any involvement with the film. I think he has a disdain for Hollywood with adaptations of some of his work, notably the job that was done with The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Or maybe his anger goes back further. I don't know. But he's washed his hands from the project. Watchmen's co-creator, Dave Gibbons, is on board with his support, though. One of the goals of Moore and Gibbons for writing The Watchmen was to show what a graphic novel could do that a film couldn't. So immediately, the thought of trying to adapt it to that medium seems ludicrous. There will certainly be elements that made it such a milestone that will be lost in translating it to film, so it is completely understandable that fans who have read it are viewing this film with some trepidation. Basing what I've seen on the trailer and photos, I'm still skeptical. Don't get me wrong, some of the images and shots look great. I think some singular scenes will play out as faithful to the comic as possible. Some of the characters' appearances look like they're going to be as perfect translations of the characters as you could want. Granted, interpreting the visual look of some of the comic book characters to a film are easier than others. Rorschach and the comedian look like they've just stepped out of the pages of the comic, while others I'm not that crazy about. But the costumes aren't the only thing. That might be the easiest thing to get right when you think about it. There are so many components that have to be pulled together for this story. As a whole, the film is inevitably going to lose some of them. What's going to happen to the story? How badly is it going to be hurt by the absences of the structure, the subplots, the background, flashbacks? Just recently, director Kevin Smith was shown a 3-hour cut of the film and gave it a glowing review in his blog. Hearing that didn't really ease my concern, though. I think fans of the comic have to keep expectations in check. Like, I'm pulling for the film and would love to see it do justice to the comic, but the odds that this film will capture the epic story the comic has is slim to none. If they can catch only some of the qualities that made the comic so great, then they'll have accomplished something. Perhaps the best thing that this film can do is draw attention to the graphic novel. Get readers who would normally not have any interest in reading a comic book pick it up, read it, and discover just what a work of art it truly is. But who knows, maybe the Watchmen film will overcome these odds and stand on its own as one of the great comic book movies ever. A flawed adaptation of the source material, but on its own, a quality piece of work. The latest ripple to the Watchmen film has been 20th Century Fox suing Warner Brothers over the film rights. They apparently want to stop the film from being released. It's somewhat suspicious they brought up this lawsuit after the majority of filming was done, like they weren't aware that this film was in production any earlier. Doesn't anyone at 20th Century Fox read any entertainment magazines? The timing of it can only be for purely tactical reasons. Anyway, I think this is just going to be a bump in the road and Watchmen will hit theaters as originally planned. It would be somewhat poetic if the film, an adaptation of what is said to be an unfilmable comic story, is just shelved and never seen by audiences. That ironic twist might even make Alan Moore smile.